Hello and welcome to some kind of model making chaos. Last Sunday, I made an Airfix kit for the first time in about 30 years. It was a Spitfire. It's Saturday today, so a whole week has elapsed, and guess what I've just gone and done? I quite enjoyed making the model, so I've bought some more. I've got, look at that, a Messerschmitt in a starter kit. I thought I'd have a go at Messerschmitt. I've got a tank. What's this one? Don't even know what it is really. A Vickers light tank. Yeah, quite early I suppose. 30s I think they were. And I've got a Gloucester Gladiator, which is probably from around about the same period. They both ended up at the start of the Second World War being in action, but I don't think they lasted long. And I've got a somewhere I've got a Hawker Hurricane. Well, I'm not sure what I've got with it. Well, that one will make an appearance later. Somewhere I've got a Hawker Hurricane, all 1/72nd scale. And I noticed when I was making the Spitfire last time that there was a bit of standing around waiting for things to dry, and particularly when you're painting and doing the transfers and things like that. So I thought I'd buy 4 and see if I can do a couple of them at least, sort of simultaneously. And I think I'll put them all, I'll film them all, but I'll do them separate. So you'll either be watching the Gloucester Gladiator one, or the tank one, or the Messerschmitt one. And I'm going to start with the Messerschmitt. So here we are. I've got to admit, I quite like the Messerschmitt. It looks sort of tough and business-like. So we'll start with that. There is one interesting point about getting the Messerschmitt with the starter pack. I've got some paint and glue left over from the Spitfire. Got a couple of different paints and some more glue. So there's a very good chance I might be able to make all of the new models and pretty much use the paints and glue from the 2 starter packs I've got. I am going to cheat slightly because I've got some cans of spray paint, and I might spray the little tank, and I will probably spray anything that's grey because I've got some what's it called, car primer, which seems to be the best shade of grey, so that's good. Don't worry, I'm not Banksy. You can probably tell by my accent, he's from Bristol, isn't he? So I haven't been doing graffiti or anything like that, but I've got some spray, so I'll use it up and we'll see what we get. The thing is, it's alright, here we are looking at the stuff and the transfers from the Messerschmitt, but if you look at the colours, I was saying how dull it all seems to be. I seem to remember I made a 1/24th scale Messerschmitt when I was at the height of my model making skills. Don't know if I can do that now. And I'm sure the body, the fuselage, or the sides, and the underside were a pale blue. And this one's a bit grey. So shall I go pale blue and do the yellow nose as well? It's tempting. I might just let inspiration take over right at the moment of doing it. So let's see what happens. So I'm umming and ahhing about which colour scheme to have for the Messerschmitt, and 2 things have come into play. The first is, look at how this thing's actually constructed. It's favouring having that yellow nose cone, well, not cone, just the whole nose. Look at this, you've got the whole of the bit that would be yellow there, separate, so it stops sloppy paintwork. What's also really nice is you get the engine on show. So I wonder if that will clip in neatly and can be taken off. I don't know who I'm going to go around showing it to, but it's just a nice idea, isn't it? So that's the first deciding factor, and I think it's the main one. But the other thing is I just got the paint out and the parts, a few parts ready, and all of that, and got myself arranged, and the cat came up, jumped on this ad hoc table that I've cobbled together, knocked everything all over the place, got some hair in the paint and on the brush, and I was never a fan of cats. I've grown to admire them, but I'm struggling with this a little because we don't own a cat. I've now painted the important parts of the Messerschmitt, and look, what appeared to be a terrible grey colour actually comes out not only a blue but almost green. Now that might be more green than I'd anticipated, because I always thought that Messerschmitts were a very pale blue. But I have looked on the magnificent website called Wings Palette, and obviously Messerschmitts come in all kinds of colours. So this is the one that's recommended for this model, but I quite fancy some of these paler ones, particularly the one with the D above it. Trouble is, that's a household paint, and D stands for Dulux, and I don't know how well that's going to spread on a plastic surface. But I'm going to work to the principle that actually this greeny colour that I have slapped all over the place might act as an undercoat. And also you can just see there that I'm going for the going for the yellow nose. That gives us an idea of where we're heading with this one. As yet, nothing's been taken off the sprue, nothing's been glued together, but a bit of paintwork's been done. And that's the cat, and I think this is here we are with the little cat. I think we need to include this. I think I'm making a bit of a fiasco of this one because eventually I followed the basic principle everybody should follow. If all else fails, read the instructions. That's what I did, and I've actually painted the fuselage and the underside of the aircraft with the green that is for the upper side and the wings, if you see what I mean. So I've repainted all of that slightly vivid green colour with a pale blue. I think I'm supposed to do it grey, but as I said earlier, I want to go for that blue look. So we're second time lucky, I hope. And I have just, not sure if it's visible, but I've just added a little bit of detail for the superstructure that holds the engine in place. And of course, here we are with the, what I call little man. I've got to work on the flesh still, but he has rather nice detail. His collar, his fur-lined collar, is a bit bigger than on the original Airfix figure, and his parachute straps and sort of safety belt, in effect, holding him into the seat, are a little bit more clear and easier to do. So he is coming out quite nice. Here we are. One little kitty cat. Getting in the way, aren't you? That's it. Sit on the model. I suppose I got it wrong earlier talking about the cat. You don't own a cat. You don't own any animal really, do you? That's not very fair. But you certainly don't own a cat. But one way or the other there is this weird supernatural phenomena that despite not having a cat, one keeps turning up out of the blue. We're having sort of serious learning curve things, learning event issues going on. I got the pot of green paint, I didn't stir it up properly, so you get wings of two different shades of green. There you go. So I'll have to stir up the pot of paint thoroughly and do the one on the right again. It looks like the one on the left needs a little bit of a second coat anyway, doesn't it? As for the fuselage, I tried a straight line, freehand, Not too bad on the one on the left. The one on the right, the first one, not so good. Very wobbly. But that is the first attempt. I watered the paint down slightly and I think overdid it. So that's not good. This is a redone green on the wings and the tailplane. It looks a bit better. It's still drying. Thankfully the light's changed a little, so we haven't got so much stark contrast and shadow. I do like a sunny day, but it was getting a bit hard. The reason it's changed is because it's snowing out, which is a bit grim, and I've just noticed I've left the driver's window open on the car. So we'll let the paint dry and I'll go out and get wet. At last we're putting things together. The cockpit's in place. It's a very nice fit. It's actually one of the smoothest fits for a cockpit I can ever remember, and a little bit better than the Spitfire that I did. It's good. This is all going smoothly. I know I've only done about 5 pieces, but it's not bad. Okay, there's some painting been done and some gluing. I've got the wings all lined up over there, and both sides of the fuselage are on, and there's a lot of yellow gone on too. So there's only some fiddly little bits left to do, and the canopy, and put the wings on, I suppose. Always handy, makes the plane look good. But it's coming along okay. Oh, and I have cut off the props from the propeller so that it looks like it's flying, and they're going so fast you can't see them. What a big kid, eh? Film to Messerschmitt. Just a quick look at the cockpit. 3, 2, 1. So just a quick look at the pilot in the cockpit. The edges of the cockpit are a little bit rough. I'll tidy those up. And I'm still not happy with the flesh colour on his face, but I've put so many different shades of that on that he's starting to lose a bit of detail. So we'll just have to do as he is. He looks a bit pallid again, a little bit grey. So these chaps are obviously a little bit nervous. This is a very nice cockpit canopy for the Messerschmitt. It's even got, which I don't remember seeing anything like this before. Look at that. It's got little hinges. And I noticed in the instructions it does show that you can have it open or shut. I'm going to have it closed. But that is good. I'm very impressed. Particularly the glass stuff. Although it can hold a lot of detail, it does seem to be brittle, and it doesn't like being painted. So I'm not going to paint this one. I didn't on the Spitfire either, but who knows, as time goes by I might get more daring. Desperately outside trying to get some daylight. Well, I'm braving the snowstorm, not just to find a bit of blue sky, but because the light's getting so dismal, I'm having trouble even filming this at all. But here we are with the Messerschmitt done. And somebody seems to be shooting at it. Never mind. Funny devils. Yes, that's why I'm outside, not trying to make it look like it's flying in the air or anything. Give you an idea. A little bit of light. If the light changes, I'll get a shot in a more stable environment, possibly without gunshots. I've reverted to indoors. The light's improved a little, so we'll just take a look at this very good model. Well, not good on my part. It's a little bit splotchy here and there again with the paint, and a little bit of trouble squeezing the wings together. But I think the manufacturers have done a very good job. And once again, a really nice cockpit canopy and a very mean and moody, very dynamic looking Messerschmitt.